Hi everybody, this is Diane. I am going to do the second part of my organized studio tour. Fully organized since I moved in 6 months ago. Got my new tables and I'm so excited. It looks a little messy on the table there now because I just have some things out ready to get started on my next journal. So I have to do the desk, show you the desk and what's underneath it and what's above it, and the nook. There are a lot of detailed elements, like all the little baskets and boxes and drawers. So this might take 2 more videos to do this, but we're just gonna go slowly because I want you to see what my work area is like. I'm standing back here by my cutting table because when I showed that to you yesterday, I forgot I had left these little die cuts out because when Layla was here helping me one day, she was hanging out with me and she helped me down here. And I taught her how to use the Big Shot so she could cut out some label things for me. But I gave her some more dies and some scraps of paper and she just cut these out for me. She had fun with it. She didn't want to keep any of them, so I will put them away. I just wanted to share with you what she helped me with. All right, so now on to the table. I forgot to turn lights on over here, so I'll do that. And that. I did this part of the table in the first part of the video. So we're just doing this part that's up against the back wall now. I don't have great lighting in the ceiling. There's a can light up there. I'm not going to show it to you because it's on. It'll hurt your eyes. And that light I had to clip onto the ceiling tile. And I have one over there that's clipped onto the shelf. But there's a window there, so I can't do that here. Let's do the surface of the table first, and then we'll go underneath. Back here, it's hard to reach back here, so I just have some things I don't use that often. I have my, well, this is just another little basket. It's supposed to hang on the wall like that. I had to remove these when I moved, and it's hard to find the replacement sticky things for these, but so for now it's just sitting on the desk, and it just has a couple more. They're like corner punches and a tiny little slot, tiny little square and a little circle, but they don't get used much and they're just back there. And then I have my foam brushes back there. My Big Bite and 2 of the ATG guns and my heat gun. I have this little dish here that just holds some tiny little pieces when I'm cleaning up, and you know, so I didn't put these away yet. I could have done that, but I guess I forgot. I moved this box. I need to go through this because it is so packed. So I need to eliminate some things out of this. But this is, I moved it from, I'm sorry, I'm going all over the place. I moved it from this shelf down to here so I could access it easily. And because I was a little concerned about the weight of all of these things on the wire shelves. Because my son-in-law wasn't real confident about having a lot of weight on them after he put those shelves up because of the studs. At least one of those brackets isn't on a stud. So anyway, this is bridge tallies, you know, game sheets, and just little, mostly vintage, but not all vintage, papers that I can use for journaling. And there's some newer ones too. Some of the tablets and sticky pads and stuff like that. I moved my appointment book pages right here so that I can grab them easily. I use them a lot to create journaling spots, and they just get held up by those 2 items. I have my little recipe box that has the tabs. These are little digital tabs that I printed and cut out, but these are tabs that I made with punches and dies and some red tags. I didn't make those, but they're in there. I like to keep the tabs where I can get to them. This holds, I'm gonna sit down here. It holds scratch paper that I need to make notes on, and my mini cutter, and some black inks and embossing ink, my brayers, my distress tools that I use for the vintage photo and black, and then the vintage photo and black inks are right there. And I have, what is this? Why is this there? It's empty. It's empty. That can go somewhere else. I have assorted paper clips here. I can never think of a good place to put them so I can access them quickly and easily, because I use them all the time. So they're right there for now. But I have an ink tower, 2 ink towers here. I think I got those from scrapbook.com. And they hold my Marie Claire inks. I can turn them sideways and fit 2 on. The other ones I can't do that with. They're too wide to fit 2 on. So these are archival inks. And, well, let's talk about these little containers here. Like I said, these are paper clips. These are paper clips. I just got these from Amazon. I love using unique paper clips. And then this stacks, this little box also stacks with them, but I took the paper clips out of that. So this one just has different types of pins, bulb pins, some rusty safety pins, things like that. And this one just says metal, so it has various metal pieces. Has the rings that I can hang dangles on from my spines, and it has the hitch fasteners. And these are tiny little bells. Just some fun metal things I've had for a long time. And altered paper clips are the ones that I make with vintage magazine images. So they're here for now. If I come up with a better place to put them, I'll move them. And then this divided organizer obviously holds my tools that I use every day. Rulers, scissors, pencils, pens, bone folders, and my pokey tool. This goes over here. And Layla, my granddaughter, bought me this for Christmas. So it sits here, and it has my little scissors and some of the shorter things that kind of get lost in there. So, and I think it's fun, so I love it. And there's another light. I didn't turn that on. So this is my work surface where my mat is, and I have 3 covers made and ready. While I'm working, I keep this, while I'm working on a project, I keep this handy. You've seen me use it before. I put small pieces in these 2 cups, medium-sized pieces in that, and then bigger pieces in that. I just stuck some paper doll clothes right there. So this is handy for me to use. And then I did talk about this yesterday. This will have scraps of the papers that I'm using in these journals, and then bigger size pages for these journals. Stuff for the journals that I'm working on at any given time are right there. So I keep things close to hand. Okay, moving on. I just have these pieces right here so that they're handy. I don't forget where they are. This is the paper German measuring tape. I like to use that. And this was something I got in a Happy Meal. It's not vintage, but it's a tape that was used by a general store. And I think that's really cool. And it's similar to that measuring tape. So I just keep them both right there. I can grab them when I want them. That's just some extra tape. I'm going to put that in my drawer over here. Oh, I also have a lamp that stands on the floor. I was hoping to do away with that when I moved. I wanted a bright ceiling light right over my head, but there's no way to do that. So the lamp stays. I just have to move it out of my way. This acrylic case here usually has my little tablet sitting on top of it, and I can have videos on while I'm working. It's just a, It's about the size of this, the width of that, so it's not huge. And in these drawers, I have some game pieces, like letter pieces, and different paper clips and metal things, and even my camera SD card is in there. I have a few of them. I throw them in there so I know right where they are when I need to take pictures of items that I'm selling. These are vintage reinforcements, and also some of the laundry tape, the vintage laundry tape with the monograms, letters, initials. And also there are some vendor numbers in there. I know those are just random things to put in there, but they're small and I like to have them close by. And these are stamps that I use frequently. And then this is my little turning dish for my glues. Back there are my brushes for rubbing ink on things, my paper towels, and some hand lotion, which I didn't use before I started the video. I usually like to use it before I start a video. And that's just a couple of little vintage dishes. I just, again, throw little bits in there when I'm cleaning up and I'm tired of trying to find spots for things. But if all I have is that and that other one, oh, the little blue dish with the little metal pieces, I'm doing great. This just has paper doll clothes in it, which is out here to be used for the current journals. These are some things that I cleaned up from my last cleanup session, from my last project, and organizing sessions. Some of this stuff came from organizing sessions. And I'm just going to make some master boards and ephemera with it. So for now, I'm going to put it down here with my master board stuff. Then I have my sewing station. There's a wastebasket right down here. My sewing station obviously has my sewing machine, my pins. I just put my scissors and seam ripper in there. This needs to be organized. That's one of the things I need to finesse. But I don't reach for things in there very often, but they're there when I need them. There's some needles, measuring tape, and safety pins are in there. And these are the fabrics that are out for my current project. So I've got a lot more space here by my sewing machine than I used to have, and I'm so happy about that. It really helps a lot. I just have a bottle of water down here. Okay, so that is the surface of my desk. Now let's look underneath. I store a lot underneath. I have these plastic drawers that I've had for ages. These all have 12 by 12 papers in them. I just went through them and organized them and removed papers that I probably won't use. So there's more room. They're not quite as full. I did have some paper pads on the floor. So now there was room for everything to be in there. I do have some more paper. I'll show you when we get there. This unit is smaller. It's not 12 inches wide, but it has my corner rounders and punches that I reach for. This is a corner punch. I should probably put that in my, here, I'll spin slowly and show you. This was in yesterday's video. I have punches there, so I should probably put that one in there. And back again. But it has my wire cutters and pliers when I need pliers. And there's a knife there. This drawer has my Tim Holtz Distress Oxide and Distress inks. It's not the most convenient because they're stacked 3 on top of each other, and the Distress inks are way back there where I can't reach them. Well, they start here. But no, that's an oxide. But I can't reach them without moving some of the inks here. So it's not the most convenient thing, but that's what I have. Some ink block or stamp blocks. And this is where the distress tools and sponges and foam and felt pieces are. And then in the deep drawer at the bottom, I have alcohol ink supplies and bottles of ink. I have my scoreboard here and my paper cutter that I'm always grabbing. Sometimes it gets too far back and I have trouble reaching it on video. These are stamps. Oh, let's see. Sorry, 1, 2, 3 drawers of stamps. So these are words and phrases, woodblock mostly. You can see I added the clear ones on top there. And these are journaling stamps with little journaling spots. And these are letters and numbers. I don't use them a lot, but these are my favorite ones right here. And I love these also. They look like typewriter font, or maybe more like text in children's books. These are scraps of paper and even full sheets of paper that I use to make journaling spots. And these last two drawers are more scrapbook paper. So all the Tim Holtz is in these drawers, along with some other ones. Some Stampin' Up! Is in there. And just some specialty ones. Like, I don't often order from a scrapbook company like this. This is the mercantile paper and has the ephemera with it. But when I do order or purchase things like that, they're in here. Some of these I got from that craft booth. And this basket here, I need to organize this. But it has a pouch with collage bits and dyed papers. Some of these bags are, you know what, comforters or pillowcases or things like that came in. There's a pouch of strips and just too many pouches of collage stuff, so that's why I have to organize it. And then I have these two drawers that my brother made, because he created this table, this desk. I don't think I told you that, but most of you probably already knew it. All right, so this is patterned scrapbook paper scraps, and it's pretty full. This has the small scraps in it. So I need to go through that and get rid of some of those because it's just too many, although they fit. And this one is solid scrapbook paper scraps, cardstock. Someone told me when I showed something, said that I could sort these further into colors, and I'm like, nope. I could. Would be easy to find things, but I wouldn't take the trouble to put them away, so I just throw them in. I know what works for me, and having it too separated, I guess, just doesn't work. I kind of wish I had asked him to make this a pull-out, but I didn't. But that is my eyelets and eyelet setter that I use. Another paper trimmer, and this one is the one with the wavy lines. I did have my envelope punch board, my crimper, and I think that was it down there, but it was harder to grab things, so I just yesterday moved those two items to the bottom of that, and that's going to work a lot better. And now we will move to the top. What is over my desk? Lots of ephemera. This acrylic unit has things that aren't digitals. There are bingo cards in the back, some vintage papers, and some journaling cards that aren't vintage. Just things that can be used for journaling. This, you can see I just kind of stuff things in the front after I have them all organized, and then they get messed up again. But there's time cards, guest checks, postcards. I used to have this whole thing full of postcards, but now there's not that many of them in there because I've destashed a lot. But I need to go through all of these and do some more destashing. We've got library cards, library pockets, and tags in here. And my washi tape holder is really handy. I love it right here because I can reach up from my desk and pull these out and select my washies. And then this is for the overflow. This little thing here is these lights. My sister got me these for my birthday, and they worked when they were in the package. You press the little button to, demonstrate that they work. And then I took them out of the package and removed the little paper that you're supposed to remove, and got them all hung up there, and they don't work. So I haven't removed them yet. I didn't tell her that they don't work. I've got this little bucket back here that has bulldog clips, which I don't ever use. And these little boxes are words. Those are stamped and cut out. Some of these are from books and digitals, and these are like scrapbook ephemera. There's some digitals there. And these are book plates. On the top shelf here, this box has small envelopes, new and vintage. And this tray, I'm gonna bring it down here so you can see it. I should get these book covers out of my way. So this little tray is a lid to a box that I had. It's nice and sturdy. Has these little baskets, and it has half index cards, some smaller tags, some sticky notes, more smaller tags, purchased, die cut, and digitals, and my dry cleaner tags, the pink and the yellow. And oh, there's my while you were out pages. I just saw them in a different container, and an empty one. These things may not be in the most convenient place. I have to stand up and reach to the corner to get them, but at least I have them. This is next. I'm pulling this down. This one needs to be organized. They all need to be organized. So like I said in the first video, everything is where it belongs. It just needs to be fine-tuned and thinned out and neatened up. So this one has my little vintage photo corners, which I love using. And what's in here? Oh, the handmade labels, the stamped labels that I do on book pages and stuff. They need to be in a handier place, but I'll figure that out later. I have some bling here, which I hardly ever use. And these are just little bits. You've seen me pull out my box of little bits when I was working in my personal journal. And this is also little bits, a vintage container. It's got some labels in there. They can go somewhere else. Those are stamped pieces. Okay, those are all the photo corners. I'll put this back here. This is another one of those little baskets that has punched out shapes, and some of them, or all of these, have been made into clusters. So this just came out of another container that's over in my nook. I didn't have room for this anymore in there, so I'm just kind of throwing stuff in there because it was handy, and now it's containing some stuff for me. Up here, the next thing to bring down is this, and it has more of the vintage library pockets. I'm not stashing any more of those because I use them so often. And then my brads, different types of brads, even vintage brads. I love those paper fasteners. This is Tim Holtz. Yeah, that's Tim Holtz film reel, so that needs to go somewhere else. You can see my row of stuff up there. Let me see if I can put these library pockets in here somehow, because there is some extra space in here. Probably not. It's probably too shallow. Oops, I'm sorry. If I put them that way, they should stay. That's just like overflow. And then next, we looked at this, and then next is this sewing machine drawer full of playing cards and game cards. And this, I want to get something else because it's got these feet on it that get caught on the rack. But these are all the smaller size tags and some of the regular size tags. These are all pretty much blanks that I can create with and collage with. And there's a few digital ones up here. And on this middle, let me step back and show you the arrangement of these shelves. My son-in-law put them up for me. They came from other craft rooms that I've used. I had these, I don't remember in how many of my places, but this is what it looks like. I have 2 shelves here, 1 shelf in the middle that kind of overlaps, and then 3 shelves there. So we're going to look at the middle one now. This is the little box that contains the littler boxes that has my reinforcements that I cut out and stars and things like that. This container is divided, and it has digital journaling cards plus some vintage, I think autograph books are back there, and just some vintage pages that I put in journals. This is seam binding. Here's another box lid that serves as a tray. And this has more tags, but they're even smaller. So I had this bunch. I think I may have bought them at the craft booth. So I have this bunch that I just threw up there, and then this bunch that my daughter-in-law gave me that she didn't need. So they're not organized. I need to finesse this. But it has my little merchandise tags, my little handmade skinny tags, and the tiny tags. It's just full of little tags. And my scripture cards. They came out of a Daily Bread plastic box. It's shaped like a bread loaf. And then there's another sewing machine drawer. Oh, I just knocked down some of those tags. The sewing machine drawer has my label stamps and some office stamps. Well, this is from a scrapbooking company, Smashbook, but this is vintage, and it's actually stamps that copy, and some giant paper clips because I didn't know where else to put them. So the label stamps are easy for me to grab. And then right here, I've got this basket and this little box. So the box had a Bible in it. It contains my vintage masking tape and Scotch tape. And that basket just contains fibers and some baker's twine. Thought I had baker's twine somewhere else. This is vintage baker's twine from the post office. It's postal baker's twine. Yeah, I guess all my baker's twine is in here. And then moving down, this vintage recipe box from Land O'Lakes Butter has the tickets that I made with my Tim Holtz stamps and dies. This little tin has little pieces of muslin that I stamped. We have some quilted heart shapes I got from an Etsy seller, and some little strips and small pieces of muslin. And I just put those ruffles back there because they fit. Now the last 3, these contain things to use at my sewing station. This box, these are all glove boxes that I've purchased at flea markets. This was the first one I got, and it has pieces of lace that fit here without being folded. So they're like scrap pieces, but still kind of long. This one has specialty lace in it, like some real pretty ones. And I don't even remember what's in this one. Oh, it's got neutral, small pieces of neutral fabrics. I need to remember that. That is sari silk. And this is sari silk. No, it's crinkled seam binding. These little boxes, I'm sorry, I'm not holding the camera where it needs to be. These little boxes are scraps of fabrics and laces. Sorry, I shifted my camera and turned it off. So this box back here has little appliques, like little daisies and things like that. And that is bigger scraps of fabric. And these are pieces of fabric. This whole full basket are small pieces of fabric, but they're the biggest ones on in this collection. My eyelet laces are in this container. You've seen me use this a lot, and this is something new. I did have a small container with pom-pom trim, but I recently got those 2 big bunches of pom-pom from, where did I get them? I don't even remember. But I found that empty basket and I put all my pom-poms in there. Pom-pom trim. This is velvet ribbon. There's 2 different colors of that, and then back there is more velvet fabric pieces and velvet ribbons, vintage ones. This one is the strings that I use to sew my journals and create the dangles on the spines. And these are just applique pieces, and there's some foam pieces in there, some flowers. This has embroidery floss. I don't need it often, but it's there when I do need it. I'll bring this down so we can look at that. This is really beautiful lace appliques, the kind that would be used on wedding dresses and prom dresses and stuff back in the day, probably 80s or 90s. This is doilies, mini doilies. I did destash this because I had way more than would fit in here, so I cleaned that out. I haven't sold them yet, but I have them ready, or they're not ready to sell because I have to divide them up. And this is some ruffles and some fabric strips. I need to neaten that basket up. I put fabric yo-yos up there. That's a box you've seen quite often that has fabric flips and clusters. And this is just some rolls of silk and crepe paper. Oh, this is vintage gauze. And that's rolls of velvet ribbon, I think. Yep, that's all velvet ribbon. And this box says lace fabric. So it has this mesh and some laces that are not trims, but fabrics. They're vintage. And that one is eyelet fabric. And then I'll continue right here with the end of my, I didn't talk about what's underneath over here. Underneath my sewing machine are boxes of quilt batting, the quilted muslin. You see some hanging out there. There used to be muslin in there, but I don't think there is anymore. And iron-on interfacing. Then over here I have these drawers of trims and fabric things and sewing supplies. So let's start at the bottom since I'm sitting down right now. And this needs to be organized better, but these drawers are just full of trims. So the bottom one has embroidered trims and other. It's so full, it's hard to move it in and out. So it's pretty much all vintage stuff in there. This has an assortment of trims that are wrapped around cards and pinned. Trims and laces. This one says wide lace, and I don't get into this very often, but I should use it more. And this has a lot of crochet, cotton trims, some daisies. This one has gimp and some belt pieces and some stuff that wouldn't fit in other places. We have crochet and gimp here. And this one says spools, so it's the spools that I would get at Hobby Lobby. I'm not buying things at Hobby Lobby that much because they put less on the spool and charge more for it. but I do have some, and I will buy some there. I just haven't needed to buy it, so I haven't been. And rosettes and ruffles. Some braided trim right here. Up here we have beadsack fabric. My vintage appliques that are larger than the appliques that were on the shelves. Velvet fabrics, small pieces. This CD is what came with my Singer sewing machine. This has rickracs, some thread. I don't use these threads very often. These are the colors that I go to, and it's got my bobbins. And then I have this box up here. I'll bring this down and show you. This is the pre-cut fabrics that I've found at flea markets. So I have different shapes. I was able to fit this little box in there. It used to sit right on top because I had too much in here. So I love this, having this supply of pre-cut fabrics. And then hanging on a nail or a hook back here are some cutting, like the quilters cutting thingies, and some extra mats back there, sewing machine cover. And that takes care of the desk wall, the whole wall here. And that is pretty much enough for the whole video. So in the next video, we will look at the nook, and we have a lot of drawers to look at for if you want the detailed view. Thanks for coming along today. Tell me what you think so far about my tour. See you soon. Bye.